Chapter 21 to 22. As he walked through the city, Yuto witnessed scenes of immense suffering everywhere. If this had been before he crossed over, Yuto would have been deeply moved, emptying his wallet and even giving away his own clothes to these unfortunate people. However, now, Yuto only felt a sigh in his heart. His steps did not falter as he continued walking towards the city. Living conditions can change a person. When a 3-year-old child witnesses the death of their parents and has the caged bird's seal carved into their forehead, their heart inevitably hardens. Perhaps Yuto still felt pity for these suffering people, but he no longer had the energy to stop and help them. Life is tough for most people in the world of shinobi. Passing through the devastated land, Yuto arrived at his destination before nightfall. This town, called Raging Fire City, had a name that sounded as prosperous as a blazing fire. However, due to a winter storm, the finances of the land of hot water were nearly depleted, and many homeless peasants migrated from small villages to Raging Fire City. But the capacity of a town is limited. The guards of Raging Fire City blocked the ragged refugees, giving them only some thin gruel for comfort, and let them freeze outside the city walls. While the walls and snow could block the refugees, they could not block a shinobi. With a simple body flicker technique, Yuto quickly leapt over the wall and entered the city. "Security is decent," Yuto murmured as he walked into a tavern, not removing his straw hat. He casually ordered something and squinted his eyes, observing the city. This assassination mission targeted a wealthy man in Raging Fire City, within the land of hot water. The information Yuto received described the target as follows: Asakawa Hiroshi, male, 55 years old, a wealthy man in Raging Fire City who controls 70% of the pharmacies and taverns in the city. In recent years, Asakawa Hiroshi has been funding the separation faction of the Land of Hot Water, which is a stumbling block in the alliance between the Land of Fire and the Land of Hot Water. He must be eliminated without mercy. The shinobi who wrote the mission scroll was clearly a meticulous person, even adding a small note at the end. Every time Yuto read this scroll, he couldn't help but feel a moment of silence for Asakawa Hiroshi. The separation faction in the Land of Hot Water might have seen the painful history of the Land of Rain and feared that their country would follow the same path, hence their strong emphasis on distancing from Konoha and avoiding complete dependency. From the perspective of the Land of Hot Water, this idea wasn't wrong. In the world of shinobi, entangling with a major nation means either becoming a vassal or a battlefield. Moreover, even if they ally with a major nation, the benefits might be minimal. Despite the winter storm, the Land of Fire hasn't provided any aid. However, from Konoha's perspective, the separation faction's advocacy means they might lose a crucial buffer, a strategic concern that cannot be ignored. The core of the separation faction are political stars whom they cannot easily assassinate, but they can still deal with you, the investor behind the scenes. These matters always have different rationales. While Yuto understood this, he could only act as Konoha's killing tool. Shinobi, human-shaped killing machines, sometimes don't need many emotions. It's just your bad luck, wealthy man. Yuto ate and drank his fill, paid the bill, and leisurely walked down the street. Activating his Byakugan, his vision became clear again. It took Yuto only a short time to locate his target. The tallest building to the north, the second room from the left on the 4th floor. A diligent man indeed, still working even as night falls. With an expressionless face, Yuto adjusted his hat to ensure no identifying information was exposed and strode towards the building. On the way, he stealthily took a fire poker from a street vendor, making sure to leave enough silver in the vendor's purse. "Stop! Who are you?" "You there, short guy. This is Asakawa's territory. No outsiders allowed." Move away, you..." Buzz. Without lifting an eyelid, Yuto gently knocked the guard on the head with the fire poker. Even without using chakra, a shinobi's physical strength far surpassed that of an ordinary person. With less than half his strength, he knocked the guard out. Bang, bang, bang! In 3 more strikes, Yuto effortlessly knocked out all the guards. He didn't linger, leaping to the 4th floor with a heavy stomp, smashing through the glass and charging into the room. For an assassination, this method of entry was somewhat flamboyant, but as long as no one identified the attacker, it was still successful. In this world, becoming a wealthy man wasn't easy. Becoming a rich man likely meant having many enemies, so having a few grudges was normal. Glass shattered as Yuto entered the room. Through his Byakugan, he saw several chakra sources quickly approaching from a nearby room. As an A-rank mission target, Asakawa Hiroshi was wealthy enough to hire shinobi to protect himself. Unfortunately, too slow. Can you really call yourselves shinobi? Yuto chuckled, looking at the middle-aged man before him. You are... Wait, I have something to say. No matter who hired you, I can offer... His words were cut short by a sharp kunai. Yuto mercilessly plunged the kunai into Asakawa Hiroshi's heart, using a slight force with his forearm to make the heart explode. The assassination mission was complete. From beginning to end, Yuto made it look as easy as crushing an ant. With Jonin-level combat skills from one of the 5 great nations, he was indeed overpowered in a small country city. The branch family boy swung the kunai again, cutting off Asakawa Hiroshi's ear. Such wealthy men were public figures. Once they died, Konoha and the Land of Fire's leaders would know immediately, so there was no need to seal the entire corpse into a scroll. Through his Byakugan, Yuto saw the shinobi guards had already reached the next room. Did they really not have time? Or were they afraid of losing their lives and thus dawdled? Yuto didn't bother to think about it. He symbolically threw down an explosive tag, using the firelight and smoke to escape through the window. The entire assassination took less than 5 seconds. With a thud, Yuto landed in the snow. Bursting his chakra, he quickly left the city. Next came his free time, Land of Frost, Renzan Mountain. The mountains resembled teeth, straight and sharp, connected by iron chains between peaks. In the depths of winter, the chains were covered with frost, making it impossible for birds to pass. Kawamoto Seichiro tightened his cotton coat, huddling behind a large rock, unable to stop stomping his feet. Bandits establish their position through violence and naturally don't emphasize honor and loyalty like in legendary stories. The hierarchy among them is strict. Despite Seichiro's strength, he was new and thus had to stand guard in the snowstorm. Stand guard? Guard against what? Those bastards are inside feasting while I have to stay out here. Seichiro muttered angrily. The cold wind howled, making Seichiro shiver and stomp his feet hard. Damn it! Who could possibly climb Renzan Mountain in this weather? Better find a place to hide. Maybe sneak some wine to warm up. He cursed as he stood up, planning to sneak into the house for some food. Bandits, after all, had rules, but they weren't as disciplined as a regular army. Leaving the post during the night watch was common. However, just as Seichiro stood straight and subconsciously looked out at the mountain, he was struck by disbelief, frozen in place. In the dark, snowy night, a figure suddenly appeared in mid-air. This person was walking on the iron chains connecting the peaks, not minding the icy, slippery chains, balancing and controlling their body with terrifying precision. Seichiro rubbed his eyes, thinking he was hallucinating from the cold. He rubbed his eyes hard, and when he opened them, the figure on the chain had disappeared. Then the figure appeared in front of him. Renzan Mountain, huh? What an excellent defensible place. The young, clear voice was the last thing Kawamoto Seichiro heard. Bang! Yuto's hand gently tapped the sturdy bandit's chest, easily destroying all his internal organs, stopping his heart instantly, leading to immediate death. The Branch family boy pushed the bandit's corpse aside, put on a straw hat, and covered his face. Then he held a kunai in each hand and calmly walked deeper into the bandit's lair. The main peak of Renzan Mountain was the base of these bandits. The person who initially built this hideout must have been quite knowledgeable. It was modeled after an ant nest with main and side routes. Even if attacked by a strong enemy, the bandit leader could escape through underground passages. That is, if he had time. Yuto's killing speed was too fast. After taking out the sentry, he walked only about 100 meters to reach the lair's gate. Without any words, the insight of his Byakugan was a lethal weapon on such a snowy night. 3 kunai almost simultaneously pierced the guards' heads, slicing off half their skulls without a sound. Then, the one-sided massacre began. Inside the warm mountain, the bandits were drinking, laughing, and sharing their recent loot. Each carried the scent of blood, wearing clothes stained red with it. The dried blood was not theirs. In fact, they didn't know whose it was. They burned, killed, and looted daily. Who had the time to remember the poor souls they slaughtered? Suddenly, the cold wind blew in and the door was blasted apart. The thick wooden door, reinforced with iron, shattered into splinters. No bandit saw the attacker. What they saw was a spray of blood. The attacker was as fast as lightning, clean and ruthless, crushing bandit throats with a single thrust. Bones, tendons, internal organs, muscles, all were useless before the unstoppable force. Limbs were severed, blood flowed like a river. This world belongs to the shinobi. The name of the great power is chakra. Before a jonin from Konoha, even the strongest bandits were as fragile as tofu. The wooden splinters danced in the cold wind, and before they hit the ground, the bandits on this level were already dead. Then Yuto kicked open the second wooden door. He was expressionless, cutting through the next level like a nail through tofu, turning it into a bloody hell before moving further down. The third level, the fourth level, the fifth level. The killing was so simple. Yuto met no resistance until the final level. Glang! Yuto looked up in surprise at the strong man who blocked his strike and was knocked back. Oh, a shinobi! The bandit leader gasped for breath, feeling the pain in his nearly broken wrist, terrified. "Sir, please spare me. We have already paid taxes to the land of frost." Huh? Government collusion? Yuto shook his head and moved again, using his Byakugan's insight and his solid physical skills to fight with kunai in close combat. Due to killing so many, the kunai's blades were jagged like shark teeth. The bandit leader struggled to defend himself, soon covered in blood. "Sir, please spare me." Too disgraceful. A shinobi should charge forward on their chosen path until death. When you led this rabble to burn and kill, you should have anticipated this day. This is the path you chose as a shinobi. "Sir, no! I can still be useful. I stole a lot of money, this money. This money, after you're all dead, is mine," Yuto said calmly. But then he thought of something and smiled. "Oh, there is one thing you can help with." Hearing this, the bandit leader was overjoyed. But before he could say anything, his enemy's speed exploded, becoming a blur. The kunai flashed, severing the tendons in the bandit leader's hands and feet. Then, a glowing white hand slammed into the bandit leader's face. The next moment, the bandit leader saw nothing. "Ah, my eyes! Ah!" The pain and fear of blindness overwhelmed him. The bandit leader collapsed, screaming like those he had once tortured. Amidst the endless fear, the bandit leader faintly heard the voice of his powerful enemy. The voice was calm and steady, as if chatting with an old friend. "The muscles around your eyes were cut neatly, but your corneas are damaged, and the fluid inside is leaking. As expected of a shinobi, you instinctively covered your eyes with chakra, countering my medical ninjutsu, causing your optic nerves to be completely destroyed. In summary, these eyes are useless. My hands are fast, but not steady enough. My chakra control needs more precision. But it's okay. This was just practice. There will be many more opportunities in the future. The lessons learned from this failure will be applied next time. Bang! In an instant, the bandit leader's head flew off and his eyes were casually discarded. The bandits were all exterminated.